morning, everybody, and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. What's happening, folks?
And I am the podfather of gaming, Stephen Bonacore. Hello.
All righty. Well, hey, we are halfway through March. The weather it's not great in parts of the country. They're getting what do you call it when like winter comes in a second time? I know that, I know the word is for summer, but what is there like a word for that second winter?
It's called really crappy. That's what it's called.
What's the word for a second summer?
They call it Indian summer, and I'm sure there's other names for it, but
right.
I never heard that. Okay, no, I don't know. It's like a second wave of cold. You mean like, hey, here's another dump of snow and all of that.
Like when it snows in April, like in New York, which it happens occasionally, not often.
Sure, right. So it's happening in March. People are excited about spring right around the corner. Next Monday is the beginning of spring. The time zones have changed.
Some of us more positive about that than others.
No. I'm all for the time zone change. I don't think we should ever change back.
That was the last change ever to happen.
It might be if they.
No, it won't be. I guarantee it. Not the way our Congress works.
A lot.
This year, no way.
I'm so political.
No, it's not. I love these guys. Let's talk about something important now?
All right. Well,
games.
Welcome to Board Game Breakfast, folks. This is all about board games. You're about to see some contributors, and then we'll be back with an incredibly eventful news segment.
Oh, my goodness.
Here we go.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
Today we're going in the Wayback Machine to talk about Aquaretto. This is a standalone expansion to Zoolaretto, which actually we've never played.
Speaking of, if you've played both of these, we would like your thoughts and opinions on that. If you could put it in the comments below.
Yeah, if we like that one, want to check that out too, because we do enjoy Aquaretto. This is a kind of a build-your-own SeaWorld kind of a game, right? So you are drafting all of these animals in kind of like a clever, almost like an I split you choose mechanism, which is really interesting. But you're getting dolphins and sea lions, and you're getting penguins and all these different cute little animals. They can even breed and get these cute little baby guys. There's a certain amount of space that you can hold in your zoo, your water park, whatever you want to call it. And if they have to go somewhere else, if you have too many, they go into this kind of other little pool, which costs you negative points. And excellent transition, Ryan. Speaking of pools, we had a chance to go swimming in a pool recently. I never swim. I never, ever swim. But people always say, hey, this is the best possible way to get a good exercise without, heavy impact on your joints and stuff. And gosh darn it, they are right. I haven't swam in a long time because as a bigger dude, I'm a little bit self-conscious in those public settings, but this was a kind of a private setting where there was no one else around, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's something that I really want to do more of, is more swimming in. Just like the animals, Aquaretto. Nailed it.
You did. Yep, good job. Everybody clap for him. Woo! Okay. So this game was pretty seamless to teach and play too. I mean, the placement rules are really easy to understand and follow, and the drafting and the drawing rules are also super easy. There's like 4 rules in this whole thing. Don't quote me on that. That's not an actual thing. That's a Bethany thing. But I just thought it was super easy and seamless to play and to teach, and now I'm not sure what we're doing with it. We got it out to play it, to refresh it, because we thought we were going to move it out of our collection, and now we don't know anymore because we enjoyed it.
We ended up liking it.
Yeah. We fell back in love with Aquaretto.
And like.
Yeah, we fell back in like. But anyway, why don't you let us know? Tell us in the comments below if we should keep it or pass it along. Well, everybody, if you want to hear more from Ryan and I, you can find us on Facebook or YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. This is Ryan. Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye, everybody.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about a small box game from Helvetique called Bandido. The game revolves around the team of players cooperatively trying to capture Bandido. He is escaping from his jail cell at the centre of the table. It's a special tile, basically, that you put down. It's got escape routes for these tunnels coming from that jail cell. And you're playing cards, like roads from Carcassonne or other tile placement games, where the paths have to continue. You can't just block it off with the edge of a card. You're playing these cards on your turn, then on to the next player, and so on, trying to block him in. Now, you do that in two ways. Some of the cards have torches or flashlights, and they are effectively blocked tunnels. Now, they're very helpful. The other way of doing it is by making the tunnel go back in on itself. Sort of, if you have a U, you can have two bits of the tunnel going into that, and it all links up all back to the jail cell, so he's nicely captured. You're not going to win every time, though. This is a game where there is almost every time that tension of the puzzle of, at some point, I want to capture him, and that's, maybe on this turn it's promising, then the next player has to play a card, and they end up making it so the tunnel splits out into multiple routes again, and then everyone's, flailing to quickly stop that sort of sprawling off into a whole new avenue of tunnels. But the way it dominates the table for such a small box game is very impressive. So there you have it. That was Bandido, a really fun game. I've even enjoyed it solo, which is almost painful for me to say. Highly recommend giving this one a try, and enjoy it. It's a small box card game, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
All right, folks, there is not a shortage of news, so we're going to jump right into it. First of all, we want to remind you all, the Dice Tower Spring Spectacular starts on Monday, March 22nd to 25th, with our top 10 games everyone should play at least once. Mike DeLisio's top 50 games of all time. Playthrough of many different games. We have a schedule up on Facebook. We'll be posting it on Board Game Geek and other spots over the weekend, so you'll be able to see that. We'll still have our various shows. We'll have this board game breakfast. We'll have crowd surfing, but we're going to have our new marble ramp. We're going to announce the nominations for the Dice Tower Awards for last year. So a lot of really cool things. There'll be contests and such. Join us live. It's going to be fantastic. We hope.
This is next week, like Monday, right?
This is Monday.
Like
Indeed.
Monday, like Monday.
Yes, Monday. After Sunday before Tuesday, Monday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. I'm sure I'll be invited to something. I'm sure.
You are invited to something. You're going to see Mr. Bonacore next Thursday on our Spring Spectacular Thursday board game breakfast.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're also invited to watch if you want.
All right. So here we go, folks. Lots of news. This is, you probably don't know, a lot of folks don't know this, but Gamma Trade Show happens this week. Normally it's in person. It happened a week earlier last year. And it was the last United States expo to go on. I think Aircon was the last one in total. But anyway, a lot of industry news gets announced there. This year they're doing it online, so a lot of industry news has been announced, which is why we're about to do that. So first of all, Gen Con finally made an announcement about what they are doing because we've been all waiting on this. I haven't bought tickets or anything for Gen Con. And so they've delayed it, like every other con has. They delayed it to September 16th through 19th. They said it's going to be a 3-part con where they'll have Gen Con in person. They're not saying exactly what they're going to be doing. They're talking right now. They're saying that you'll probably have to wear a mask, but they don't know if they're going to require you to have a vaccine. If you read through their statement, they're very ambiguous about everything on purpose because we don't know what life's going to be like in September. They're also going to have pop-up Gen Cons. This is something they started 2 years ago where games that are released at Gen Con will also be in stores at the same time. They've talked about there's a Gen Con online thing that they'll be doing. They said a few things that they will change possibly is maybe only so many people will be in the exhibit hall at any given point in time, that they will not allow exclusives. So that way people won't be rushing to get in the hall. I don't know how you can police that, but.
Right. So if I may, I literally squealed when I heard the news yesterday. Now, I anticipated Gen Con running. I actually anticipated running in August. But to me, it was such a wonderful moment to say, hey, the biggest convention in the U.S. at least is going to happen this year. We're coming back to some sense of normalcy. I was just happy, and I said, with vaccine in shoulder, which obviously we should have by then, and I will be in Indianapolis. I will be at Gen Con in September. So I'm very excited about this.
Okay, so the question someone just asked whether we'll be there or not. We hope so. Now, this is the week directly after the Dice Tower retreat. So that's 2 weeks in a row. Actually, I was very nervous when I first heard him announce it because I was like, what if it's during the retreat? Because we would go to the retreat over going to Gen Con because we've made that commitment.
Sure.
Going from one to the other. But this is an interesting thing that's happened here. This is now 2 weeks directly before Origins. It's about a month before Essen. It is 2 months before PAX. And with all these conventions at the same time, there's going to be a little bit of problems logistically. Companies are not going to be able to go to all of them. Some companies will, but some companies are not going to be able to go to all of them. People aren't going to be able to go to all of them. It's going to be a little messy. They're all going to be smaller, I imagine. And again, depending on how the world goes, they could delay it again. It could get canceled still. That's still a possibility. I know. You're very excited about it, Mr. Bonagor.
I am. And I'm not, I wasn't necessarily excited about the delay. I mean, listen, Gen Con will not be the same. Definitely. It will not be as good, probably. But it's there and it's back, and we can celebrate that alone, and we can celebrate getting together if you can and things like that, if you feel comfortable.
I don't see that this is good for Origins, though.
No, I think it is extremely bad news for Origins. That is 100% true, which I'm planning on going to as well at the moment. If I can make these amount of travel relations and be away this much, I have the luxury of time more than most people these days. So I will try to make these 2 conventions. And then after that, it's definitely going to be like BGG Con, but I don't know that Essen's running. I think that's still a stretch.
We don't know that BGG Con is running either. We were talking about this the other day.
I think it will.
If we can go to these, what are we going to do? Which one to go to, which to not, folks? And so I wish I could tell you more than that. I would say Gen Con is more possible for Dice Tower than Origins, and it's more possible for us than Essen because Essen requires traveling across the sea. Also, right. There's things like, for example, if I get a hotel at Gen Con and something happens, I can cancel that hotel. As we learned from last year, if you cancel a hotel at Essen, you don't get your money back. Or at least
the main, of course. Yeah.
The main hotel there. Well, that's a big deal. That's not a small amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
Also, there's the going from one country to another. So there's just a lot of things involved with this. I hope this works out, but who knows? And so, but it's definitely news at least. The one thing I was surprised about this news rollout is they announced it to everybody at the same time. Normally, Gen Con announces things to exhibitors first. I would have found out, but they announced, and the exhibitor email that they sent me basically said, we don't know what we're doing yet with exhibits. So I don't even know how that's working yet. I'm assuming, because I paid for this Gen Con already. No, 2 years ago.
Right.
Gen Con, if you pay at Gen Con for the following year, you get a slight discount, and you also are guaranteed to come back, as opposed to if you wait, you might not get your spot. So every year at Gen Con, there's a line of people waiting to pay, because you don't want to lose your spot. We'll see. All right, let's talk about some games. Clank in Space, Pulse Arcade. This is a new expansion. Adds 6 modules to the game. Z, when's the last time you played Clank in Space? It's been a while for me.
It's been ages. I played with you last time I played. Any Clank. I actually don't own any Clank, and I haven't played any of them because you.
That's right. You haven't played Clank Legacy.
No, I never played. You played the entirety of that. I played Clank in Space once or twice with you there, and that was it. I'm not nearly as big a fan of Clank, any of them, as you are, or pretty much anybody else in the office, actually. So is this an expansion to Clank in Space? Is Clank in Space Adventures something else?
No, from what I can tell, it's just 6 modules for Clank in Space. So there's Clank in Space, and Clank Legacy. Expansions for Clank Legacy. Well, Clank Legacy is just regular Clank. Legacy, Clank in Space has the modular board. It's in space, different things.
I just find the whole naming structure for someone not as familiar with it, like myself, very confusing. Clank in Space. Clank in Space Because the Legacy is not called Legacy. It has a name. Right? R&D department or something. And then Clank Adventures. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what this is an expansion for, but it scares me.
Happily, I'm able to tell you it's an expansion for Clank in Space.
I'm scared. I'm frightened of the world that we live in now. And Clank it, I don't want to know.
In space, no one can hear you scream, Z.
Let's go to something Z does know about. Pandemic. Pandemic. So they have now puzzles where they give you some cards. Yeah. They give you some rolls. They give you some things happening, and you got to figure it out. That's kind of interesting. I've seen.
It's really cool.
This reminds me of, I don't know if you guys ever seen like a chess puzzle. Like someone will give you a chess thing, and they'll say, white mates in 3 move. And you're like, oh, how do I do that? This feels like that same thing.
Right. It's neat. It's the first time they've done this. I know in the past they've done like alternate setups, and then you play with like a little, like a little mission, something specific. But this is neat. I know that Niroshima Hex has done these things, very similar. And in fact, that's a deck of cards with progressively more difficult puzzles. So this is a neat idea. I might take a closer look at this and try my hand at it in my head, see how it goes.
This is a weird one for me because even though I like puzzles, I really like puzzles, I want my game to not have a single solution. I mean, I get that that's the way this is, but I like the freedom, so I think this is not necessarily for me.
Well, this is they give you, I'm assuming, such a specific case with such a specific setup. You know what I mean? That it's when you would be at this point in a game, if you would ever find yourself, then it's so late game. They probably have one way to win at that point. You know, the tree and the branches have all started to come down to a single finite point.
Sure.
It doesn't bother me, you know?
I'd love to try this to see if that's the case or if there are potentially multiple solutions, which would make it a little more interesting. I agree with that.
All right, so we have a new game from Boards and Dice. It's the founders of Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan, Tom. Teotihuacan, Tom.
Why are you adding an extra syllable? It's very
I'm
weird.
adding Tom at the end. Teotihuacan.
Right.
The best way to do it is to think of the hua as one syllable. Teotihuacan.
Hua. Yeah, I basically said that.
All right, Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan. Hey,
I'm willing to accept that I don't pronounce it perfectly well, but I don't think you were doing a great job at it either. So, anyhow, it's a tile laying game based on the original game, but with a completely different designer. So there's not a lot of information about it.
This makes me think of founders of Gloomhaven. They went for the same naming structure here. You know, big hit, Teotihuacan and Gloomhaven, and then they do something else. And hopefully this is really neat. But it does feel like, I know founders of Gloomhaven wasn't necessarily a big hit, you know? Well, I hope this does well.
The designer of this is the same one who did the recent Mandala Stones. He doesn't have any other huge hits. His highest ranked game is Beer Empire, which originally was produced by NSKN. So we'll have to wait and see. And there's not a lot of information about that. All right, Quacks of Quedlinburg, big box. So there's an expansion for Quacks of Quedlinburg, the Herb Witches, and then there's also a second expansion, The Alchemist, which is not out in English yet. Not out in English yet. This is a really weird product to me because I have Quacks of Quedlinburg and I have the Herb Witches, and they fit very easily, and that's with the upgraded components from BGG in the base game box.
So they're just putting them into one box.
We need to chill with the usage of this whole big box moniker. What's that mean anymore, even?
Also, I'm
serious, man. This is like a game and it's one expansion. That's not the big box. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. Like, you can call this the Quacks of Quedlinburg Ultimate Edition, all-inclusive, all expenses paid trip, but that's not what it is. Yeah, There's already another expansion that's not even in here.
That's also not a
Which
great cover.
upsets me.
They just smashed 2 box covers together. It doesn't look good, does it? Where they have
Right.
that line down the middle with the picture.
Would have been nice for them to integrate the witches somewhere into the original picture, but no, it's a little odd. I agree with you.
I
It would
love
be nice.
this game, but I have no desire to get this because again, I have the original thing and the expansion.
Yeah, why wouldn't they have put Alchemist in there
Right.
too? Interesting. I still
Also,
haven't.
why are you hyphenating big box? Stop it.
Yeah, that's. Can you be any more critical on this? How do you pronounce Queldenberg? Is it Queldenberg? Queldenberg.
No one
I just wanna
cares.
check
All right,
it
let's move. This
Oh,
this next piece of news is really fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, so Steve Kimball, who is one of the nicest people in the entire industry, I think, he runs Z-Man Games. He used to run Wind Rider Games, which was the Euro game department of Fantasy Flight, which they merged with Z-Man when they came on. And he's one of the main reasons that they brought back some of these classic games, Tigers and Euphrates, Samurai, Ra, etc. So basically, he wrote a long essay where essentially he said they're dropping this line. They're returning the rights to these games to the original authors, mostly Rainer Knizia, because they're mostly his games. And he even showed artwork for the new Princes of Florence game. They were actually getting ready to reproduce this game, which was at one point ranked number 2 on Board Game Geek. And he said that they're no longer doing these because he gave a lot of different reasons for it, essentially saying these classic Euro games don't sell that well. Despite what a few loud people on the internet will tell you, these games don't sell well, he says. People are going to Kickstarter, and if these games would do well, it would be better for them to be picked up by a company and done on Kickstarter. And he gave out nice shout-outs to various publishers. He gave a shout-out to Shut Up and Sit Down, saying that if they say a game's good, it will also sell well. But right now, they're not selling as well.
The entire model of Asmodee is obviously significantly different than the average other publisher around.
Sure.
They need to sell thousands of units a year of a given game, and that's with at least 5 digits. They just need to sell a lot of games to make it worthwhile. Why would they want to have a game that's selling 1,000 units in their catalog when they have all these other games that they can concentrate their marketing on? So yeah, some other company's going to get it. They'll do a deluxe version of it. And these are great games, by the way. These are great games. I think maybe I'm going to start up Podfather Gaming now line, and maybe I'll pick them up. No, kidding. Don't spread that rumor. But these are great games that I have in my collection, and I would still
One
play
of the
them right
lines
now.
he said in this thing, he says, I honestly wonder, this is Steve saying,
Mhm.
that if Princess had launched in today's environment, would it have ever cracked Board Game Geek's top 10? I'm not convinced that it would, he says, not because the game isn't excellent, it truly is, but because today's conditions are so different. It made an impact at the time when a handful of established publishers released far fewer games. Nowadays, there's so much noise that it's nearly impossible to ensure that your wares are seen, heard, and given a fair chance to succeed in the market.
I agree with that statement. I don't think it would crack the
100%
top 10.
agree with
I don't think it would crack the top 100 right now if it came out today.
I
wouldn't.
agree.
But
I
it's a
think-
great game.
Again, that's not to say anything negative about these games, but also we've evolved, and there's a lot of solid games now that we could not tell if these games were released at the same time as all the big Euro games that have come out in the past decade. Would these beat those? I don't know. And I think that anyone who says yes they would is a little bit burdened by nostalgia, because these were the games that got me into the hobby. They're the games that probably got you in the hobby, Bonacore. So we
Definitely.
tend to think highly of them, but who's to say a more modern game, Agricola or, Underwater Cities might not have grabbed us if we had played that first.
100%. And, and the artwork, of course, on these games, most of these games that we're looking at here would probably need refreshing for a modern audience and things like that. So it's a shame that we won't see them continuing in print, but I think
I'm
that
not worried about
they will all come back into print. At least most of them will in the not too distant future, I bet.
If there's one thing Dr. Rainer Knizia is good at, it's getting his games in print.
He is.
He
is very good at
He can
it.
definitely do that.
He is.
Alrighty, in sad news, we already talked earlier about Emerson's game being canceled, and from IDW, and now they just announced that Bomberman, a game that they were coming out, has also been canceled. So Emerson was doing what's the game now?
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid. So this is making me a little concerned for IDW games in general.
Are these two? Is the cancellation here? They're both based on video game properties. Is there a relation between the fact that it's these two, or is that a coincidence?
I don't know. IDW themselves have a lot of licenses. Almost all their games, not all of them, but almost all of them are licensed games.
So a little perspective on IDW. They are a publicly traded company, right? That makes them very interesting and one of the kind of unicorns sort of in our area. IDW Media Holdings is the company that's publicly traded. And it has done specifically very badly in the stock market for the last 10 years. And it has lost money hand over fist for the last 10 years. I did this research. And their publishing division, and that's the part that we care about, right? The games that are coming out. They use the IPs from the media division to make games. They have lost a tremendous amount of money year after year, whereas they had a small spike last year where they actually made money. But they came out. This is very recently a public statement for their fiscal first quarter. Sales were down to $5.8 million. So you see big numbers, down from 6.3 from a year ago, and they lost $400,000 in the quarter versus a small profit of the quarter before. So it's just odd that they continue to lose money in a very big way and stay in business and stay specifically in this, board game business where they have these IPs that they can obviously do other things with, and they do as well.
Interesting.
Okay, so now we have a free print and play game you can get called Dice in the Darkness. The designer himself streams himself playing this game on Twitch. Joe Hout, his name is. He does this every Thursday, 8 p.m., and you can print out the roll and write game and play with him. This is kind of a cute little thing here. The dice looks like they're dice going into a dungeon type thing. I thought this was a little interesting type thing to see being done.
Really thought it was cute. I mean, it's nice that you're giving people something free. They can just join him on Twitch and play with him. It's very, very, very nice.
I am super excited about this next piece of news. An expansion for Forgotten Waters. It is a downloadable content pack for Forgotten Waters. You don't need anything else. It gives you a new scenario, but also adds 100+ events in the other scenarios. That is so awesome. This is what I've been wanting for a long time, where you play a game and an event will show up, and it's a new event. You've never seen it before. I love that sort of thing. This has me really excited. That they are adding stuff like this to Forgotten Waters.
I've never played it. Is it
Forgotten Waters is a cooperative game. It's a good game. It's a cooperative game in which you go through like a book and you're sailing your ship across a map, and different things will happen. And it has some of the same type of stuff from what's that system called? From what was that system?
The one from Dead of Winter. The
one from Dead of Winter. Crossroads. The Crossroads system.
Crossroads.
So you'll get an event like, something's happening. There's a bird floating in the water. Do you want to rescue it or ignore it? And then you pick what you're going to do, and then it will tell you what happens. So this is adding more of those events that will randomly happen. I just think that's really cool.
These are all run by, like, say, the app. No one has to draw a card and wait for you to trigger something.
That's correct. It's all run by the app. It will just show up, and it will say, because the app knows, you tell it who's playing. By the way, it's not an app. It's a web-based program, so you can run it from anything hooked up to the internet.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. This is one I have to try. I got to get over my bias for my issue with the cover of the game and just try it. It sounds like such a neat game.
And the voiceover in it is just fantastic. So. Yeah,
but isn't Roy in it?
I never heard him. So
if I come across Roy's voice in this game, I will be completely my immersion will be destroyed.
Boom, done.
And I will immediately turn around and sell the game for dirt cheap.
All right. Moving on. Wizards of the Coast. Hasbro's announced Wizards of the Coast will be one of 3 new divisions: Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming, along with consumer products and entertainment. The consumer products will handle their traditional toys and games, and entertainment will handle their film and television content. So Wizards of the Coast is now 1/3 of the company, essentially. Not really, but I mean, it's one of their 3 main divisions. They have a new logo, which you can see here on your screen. They're going to have an aggressive digital transformation of their games, and they say Wizards of the Coast had the highest revenue since the company was first founded in 2020. So coronavirus did not affect Wizards of the Coast. $816 million.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's an absolutely astonishing number that they reported. The fact that Wizards is obviously focused on CCGs, not board games, but they're part of hobby gaming. And the fact that a major corporation, a corporation worth $50 billion at least, has now hung their hat on this thing as one of their major divisions. This is, we're just going mainstream here, everybody. It's really, really cool.
It's an insane amount of revenue. Wow.
So we jump from the Wizards on the Coast to Wise Wizards. That's right. White Wizard Games has changed their names. They said they originally, the quote is, "Our original company name was a throwback to Gandalf, the iconic fantasy character. Based on feedback from the community and our future plans to broaden our product line, we decided it was time for a change," says Debbie Moynihan, the COO of Wise Wizard Games. So they can keep the same, basically everything's the same except they changed the word white to wise. Has the same WWG there, although it's a bit now repetitive. The redundancy, Wise Wizard. Since
you mean
Wizards have
slightly
to
more
be
difficult
wise?
to pronounce?
no.
You
But
could be a-
Wizard
you
and
be a
Wise
dumb
have the same word background.
No.
Okay.
Do?
Yes. Yeah. Wise, wisdom, wizard. Yes.
Really? Okay. Is that like the etymology of the words are actually the same? I did not know that. There you go. Okay.
Whoa,
Anyhow.
etymology. Where's that word come from?
They
I'll
also
look it
background
up.
on that?
coming out with a whole bunch of new cool games this coming year. So there you go.
I'm a Boolean today, Z. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. In big news, we actually found out about this news, folks, after like 5 minutes after we did our news last week.
That was funny.
I didn't want to do an addendum, so we're just talking about it now. But Asmodee has announced that they bought Plan B Games, making the owner of Plan B Games, Sophia, the first person to sell a company to Asmodee twice, since she sold Z-Man Games back in the day and now has sold Plan B Games. When she sold Z-Man Games, she kept Pretzel Games and managed to somehow keep Emerson, Matsuchi, and Century in the wings. With Century Games coming out and then followed up by Azul, Plan B Games hit the map. They eventually bought Eggert Spiel and have a big slate of games, about 10 games, but very, very popular games. And Asmodee doesn't necessarily buy companies as much as they buy games. And if you have a game like Azul, which probably has sold in the millions at this point, then Asmodee might buy you. Any thoughts on this? Now, here's one thing I do want to say, folks. Every time this happens, everyone screams about Asmodee buying up everything. And Asmodee definitely buys a lot of games. So I was curious. I went to look at the top 10 games that have the most number of voters, not the highest ranked ones, but the most people who rated them on Board Game Geek from 2020. And we have Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, On Mars, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Dune Imperium, Calico, Viscounts of the West Kingdom, Oceans, Fort, Eclipse, Second Dawn for the Galaxy, and Tekkenu, Obelisk of the Sun. None of those are Asmodee. None of them. Now, don't get me wrong. Asmodee, like if I was a local game store, I could not say I'm not going to carry Asmodee games to my store. That would be insane. Right. The evergreen games that they have, Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, etc. All those games sell like crazy. But whenever this happens, people are like, oh, Asmodee owns everything. Not even close. They're definitely the biggest of the hobby game things. And
times 100.
Right. I mean, they're huge. But if you don't like their games and you said, I won't play nothing, I won't play Asmodee games, you'll be fine. Between Kickstarter and the hundreds of other companies, there's plenty of games.
But you shouldn't do that.
Buy everything.
Right. They have not bought everything. I always like to say there's one of them and hundreds of us when I was publishing. So you still have plenty of choices. You certainly, as people who, this audience is probably constantly on Kickstarter looking for new games, and they're not there. You've got plenty of choices of brand new stuff coming out. So don't look at them as the bad guys. They're raising the bar for everybody. They're actually good guys in so many ways. So
okay, I'm not going to be as positive as that. I don't think Asmodee's good guys. I mean, there's a lot of good guys. I mentioned Steve Kimball earlier.
Sure.
There's a lot of good people who work for them, and I don't think they're necessarily evil. They're just a big corporation, and they do things that big corporations do. I just don't think that it's destroying the hobby or anything.
It's not.
However, hold on to your hats because we're not done with Asmodee yet. They're also the exclusive distributor now for Thundergriff games, Fantasia, and Tabletop Tycoon. Tabletop Tycoon, the game that you would know best from them, would be Everdell, which is currently making $2.some million on Kickstarter. Thundergriff has a lot of different. They're also a big Kickstarter company. They're not buying these companies, by the way. They're just distributing their stuff in America. Asmodee is already doing this with CMON products, which, by the way, I was just notified that it's supposed to be CMON, not Come On. So
wait. Nah, this is the most important news
no,
of the day right here.
They've gone back?
Did we change horses here?
They went back?
I was told this change happened a year ago. I guess.
Wait, what do you mean a year ago? A year ago is when they told us we should say, come on.
You keep forgetting that 2020 existed, Z.
Yeah.
No, okay?
You're right. It was a year before that.
No, Tom, all right? 2017, 2018, 2019, 2021, 2022 is coming up. I don't understand.
I understand.
So Simon is where we're at.
That is correct.
And I never changed over. For the record, I never changed. But so to talk about this like news here, like to actually talk about this news. So Asmodee is what's going on here is very specific. They are becoming a major North American distributor. They already were, but they're continuing to add lines that they will distribute, and in many cases, like here, distribute exclusively. And by the way, another announcement that came out like right after this, but it's actually. Yeah, and it's actually in the show notes here. Plan B games, they just bought them. They will also distribute them exclusively, and that distribution agreement was originally with GTS. That's where you had to get Plan B.
Blow to GTS, by the way, because that
GTS, is I haven't reached out to my buddies there, but it's not good for them because they were spending a lot of money on marketing Plan B games.
They definitely were. That was a big thing they had. They said we got Plan B exclusive.
Yep.
So
yeah, again, and this is where, again, I'm not going to be negative. I'm not negative, but this is where it's a gray area of how much impact they're having on other people in the board gaming industry. So on the distribution level, this is hurting someone, and maybe more than it's actually hurting several people, depending on how important you think these other companies are to GTS and Alliance and ACD, but. Them doing this is part of, they're giving these guys a better deal than going with 4 distributors or 5 distributors, et cetera.
Well, in smaller news, I didn't make a slide for this, but also store owners have reported in many situations that their prices are going up from Asmodee. So do not expect to see big discounts on Asmodee games anytime soon.
That's actually is big news, and we're going to cover that on Board Games Insider, that they have cut their discounts to retailers, which is... There was a big uproar when that did come out, but that's interesting.
We're not done with Asmodee yet. They also have a deal with Jasco Games where they're going to be distributing the English version of My Hero Academia collectible card game. Now, since this is a collectible card game, I fully expect it to be out of business in a year and a half. But for now, no, that's come on now. That's just fact at this point with CCGs. Actually, this one surprised me that it's called a CCG because I thought they had switched over to trading card games. But
I don't know this game.
Well, it's based on a very popular anime. And it's
feeling.
It's gonna be releasing summer this year. Blah blah blah. But again, being distributed by Asmodee. All right, let's jump.
Surprised there's still companies putting out new collectible card
Yeah.
games.
That's the oddest news of this, I think.
All righty. Well, let's jump now to Lucky Duck. Lucky Duck also made some announcements. They have a partnership with Game Trays. So Game Trays makes a lot of custom inserts for games, but they also have their little holders and containers and things that they can have. So they're partnering with Lucky Duck to bring them. Lucky Duck is constantly working and growing and building. I've really noticed a push by them to do that over the last few years.
So I'm confused here. Is this news about Game Trays going into Lucky Duck games from now on inside of their games, or is this
I don't know if
related to that?
I don't know if it has to do with that, but they're going to be carrying the little containers.
Right.
Board Game Geek was carrying them for a while. I don't know if this means Board Game Geek will stop carrying them or if they're both going to be carrying them. They didn't say anything about exclusivity, but they're going to be bringing these containers, the little plastic ones. You can put them in your game box, but also they can hold the pieces.
Yeah, Lucky Duck is helping them sell these things. They are carrying them for Game Trays. That's what it sounds like.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
interesting.
They also announced a new brand offshoot of Lucky Ducks, Lucky Duck Kids. So they announced they're going to have some kids-focused titles coming in the last quarter of this year. The one I'm excited about is they're going to do something like Chronicles of Crime, the scan and play system for kids. That's awesome. I'm really excited for that. I also think they did a really good job. Roy, if you can switch back and forth between these pages, between this and the last one, I like how the logo changed from the
Adorable.
from the duck that duck that looks a little nasty actually to the little cute duck here with the kids. I think that's a really cool branding that's on point, but also looks a little different.
That first one looks like undead duck, and this one looks like adorable duck.
That's clearly not a Lucky Duck on the first one.
Yeah. This is very good branding. Their logo is very sharp. It's not minimalistic, not really, but it's so sharp. I think they did a great job here. This is exciting news.
Lucky Duck also announced a whole slate of games coming out. And you can look online to see those, but the one I want to concentrate is one that actually should have probably been in my top 10 anticipated games of the year. This one's coming out in May, and that's this Destiny's game. This was a Kickstarter. It's coming out soon, but they're going to be pushing it in retail. That's one thing Lucky Duck does. They don't just do, like, for example, It's a Wonderful World is one of their big games. They made a nice big Kickstarter version, but that and all the expansions in it will be coming to retail. And Destiny's here, which looks like a cross between Seventh Continent and Chronicles of Crime. Oh, it looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really pumped about this.
I don't see mechanics, of course, but it looks beautiful. I love the artwork. I love that miniature they're showing.
Yeah, well, it's a kind of the full name is Time of Legends Destiny. It's a narrative app-driven RPG-like board game. So when you go through it, you have this app going through, and things will change in the app, which will change what happens later. But you're also discovering a map like we did when we played Seventh Continent.
Take my money, please. That sounds beautiful.
This is a little bit of an offshoot from Chronicles of Crime. I mean, they're taking some of what they learned doing that and putting it into a bigger, bolder, geekier game, for lack of a better term. That cover, that miniature, kind of screams Mythic Games, and it has that vibe, right?
Well, actually, funny that you say that, Z, because this is set in the world of Joan of Arc.
So you mean our world, Earth? Joan of Arc.
No, the mythical Joan of Arc.
Oh,
didn't know there was a mythical version versus
it's made
historical
by, Mythic
okay.
Games.
Okay. Oh, by Mythic Games.
It looks very cool. It looks really cool.
It's a dark medieval fantasy universe. Man, I forgot when we did our top. I don't know how I missed this one. When we did our top 10 anticipated, but I was pretty excited about that.
Messed up.
They also have a couple other games. Let's show them off here. They got King of 12 coming out. That looks pretty cool.
Small card game, I think, right?
Think so.
Okay.
And then another small game. I really like the look of this one, Tranquility. This one coming out in the summer.
It looks
That
very
looks
very
nice.
tranquil.
And then Small Islands. So again, Lucky Duck, their catalog went from coming out with a game a year, maybe two. They're a full slate company now. So
Yeah.
this is very exciting, I think. And I really like the team at Lucky Duck. I think they have a good head on their shoulders, and they're pushing again for these games. They're not just doing Kickstarters. They do some really big Kickstarters. In fact, they just jumped to GameFound with their last game.
Yeah, they're really good people.
But they're also pushing for retail too. They're both arms. So that, folks, is the news. Whew. Let's do a few contributors. We'll be back for our game show.
One, two, three.
Stop. Both of you have to count at the same time.
One, two, three. We did 1, 2, 3, 4.
Stop. You guys have to trot.
1, 2, 3.
Okay,
4.
stop. Both of you have to count. Okay, stop. Both of you need to go one at a time. One at a time.
Shamiko Shapako.
Okay,
Shamiko.
stop. It's Shamil Shlamazel.
Shamako, Shamiko, Shamako, Shapiko, Shamazo.
Okay.
Shapako,
Stop. One of you got to go up and down. Shamil Shlamazel. Shamil Shlamazel.
Come along, Cassidy, come
No,
along.
no. The line is Hassan Pepper Incorporated, and then you got to run.
Hop along, guys, and come along.
Okay, stop. You know, this is not working out. You two really messed that up. Hello, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. Here I have Laverne and Shirley, the Making Your Dreams Come True game, published in 1977 by Parker Brothers. This is a 2 to 4 player game in which you're trying to see who can spend the most hours out on a date. Dad, don't you want to make your dreams come true? Don't you want to make your dreams come true? Well, I know I do. Let me set this up and show you how it works. This is what the game would look like set up. Everybody's going to pick a color and take the 5 chips corresponding to that color. Everybody's going to take a player board, and the start marker will start in one of the 4 corners. On every turn, you'll go ahead and spin the spinner and move the marker in a clockwise direction. So I'll move here to the another day, another dollar. That means that I can put one of my chips on any day that says another day, another dollar. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to put 2 chips on any given day. So for example, if I had my 2 chips here on Tuesday, I can go ahead and spin to try to make my dreams come true. I'll spin the spinner, and if my dreams come true, I'll go ahead and take a face down card and put it on Tuesday, and then I'll remove my chips off of the board. Play will continue until one of 2 things happens. Somebody fills up their entire player board Monday through Sunday, or when somebody is spinning to make their dreams come true and land on the wrong number, and somebody has at least 4 cards on the player board, it will trigger the end of the game. After the game is over, you'll go ahead and flip over all your cards on your player board. Add up all the hours. If there's any cards on Saturday or Sunday, those are worth double the points. Person with the highest total will win the game. Laverne and Shirley was a spin-off from Happy Days, and it ran for 8 seasons from 1976 to 1983. Another one of my favorite TV shows. Well, that's all the time I have for now. If you have a comment below, or you can tweet at me at RetroBoardGamer. And as always, may your rolls be high.
Hi, I'm Tim,
I'm Lizzie.
and we are To Play,
Or not.
To Play, a show about board games for 2 players.
Whose tastes may differ.
Hi everybody, so we normally review 2-player games, because that's what we do, 2-player, not 2-play, we do 2-player reviews. But recently we've been thinking about the end of lockdown. Oh, can't wait. So in the UK, we are still locked down, and we're very, very close, maybe a month or so, to getting back to our families. So we've not been allowed to see our families for a year or so. So we thought we'd especially look at some party games that we can play when we get to see our families.
Games night. Bring on games night.
So you've got...
I have got Las Vegas, baby.
Great game.
Great game. Real fun game. Dice rolling game, which is always good fun. Everyone loves to roll dice.
Yeah.
You get 6 casinos.
Spread out on the table. There's at least 50k, if not 100k, on each one to get. Yeah, ka-ching. And then each player rolls a dice. You get a set number of dice each that are yours, and you roll them, and you're claiming different casinos depending on the number on your dice. Yes, so there's a bit of push your luck in there as well with the dice rolling, obviously. There's a bit of take that as well, which I love. Like, my dad's got this casino, and I go, ha! I'll take that.
Yeah, you just jump in at the last minute and steal it.
I'll take 100 grand off your dad. Cheers. Yeah, everyone loves it. It's a good game. Everyone's laughing when they play it.
Quite a raucous game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good fun.
Definitely.
Recommended.
Yeah, I agree with that. And my choice for a family game is Sheriff of Nottingham. Great party game. So again, there's a lot more sort of fun going on than a normal board game.
Bit of bluffing in that one.
Yeah, there's bluffing. You basically are trying to sneak contraband goods into Nottingham past the sheriff who's on the gate there with his guards, and you pop these goods into a little velvet bag and seal it up, and then basically the sheriff has to decide whether or not you're trying to smuggle in goods, and he will call you out or not. So that's basically the game, and you play act basically with your family.
You do.
You're trying to bluff your way through. Yeah, and of course people bring in their real prejudices against you. I don't trust you one little bit. Is what her dad says to me. Anyway, and so it's a great family game. So both of these games really good fun.
It's also good when the sheriff accuses you and you're
completely
being
clean.
Honest. You're like, no.
Yeah, true
And he
enough.
looks like you as well.
He does not look like me.
He's
got your beard. Anyway, so there we are, guys. Two great party games we can't wait to play with our families once lockdown's finished. So hopefully you can play these games too.
Yeah, go play them.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See you on our channel.
All right, folks, welcome to our game show today. It's going to be Mr. Bonagor versus Z versus the people, although you can play along at home and see if you want. I'm going to give you all 4 names of games. I'll give a little description of each, and you are going to tell me which one of them is the fake game, or if you think they're all real. All right, so one could be fake, or they could all be real. You can't look this up online, obviously. You just have to go by your knowledge. You probably have not heard of most of these. You may have, in which case, good, And then you'll both tell me what your answers are, and then we're going to go through the whole thing first, and we'll come back, and I'll tell you which one you're correct on.
And then we'll slowly unveil who is winning, I guess. And by the way, I've lost the last 2 games in a row, which is
you get 3 points if you get the correct answer, and the other person does not get the correct answer. If you both get the correct answer, you both get 1 point. Because it doesn't really matter if you both get the correct answer anyway.
Right.
If neither of you gets the correct answer, I give 3 points to the people.
I like it.
Here we go.
Okay.
First category. I usually did like a search for a word and pulled up things, but here we go. The 4 games are Dice Wide Shut. Dice Wide Shut. This is a roll and write game with a very disturbing cover of two hares, 2 rabbits kissing each other. It's from March Hare Games. We also have Shut Your Mao. It's a version of Mao, the game, that was kickstarted, but they actually, the Chinese company told them they couldn't print a game with the picture of Mao on it, so they had to do a print and play to give it to the Kickstarter backers.
Oh, that Mao. Okay.
Shut Your Mao, M-A-O. Shut the Lines. This is a boring-looking mathematical game where you cover numbers with chips. And then Shut the Nut. This is a kid's game from the 70s where you open plastic nuts to find treasures. So the games are Dice Wide Shut, Shut Your Mao, Shut the Lines, or Shut the Nut. Both of you pick your answers ahead of time and let me know when you're ready, and then we'll just say them. You can also pick all those games are real. You can always pick that.
So those descriptions you were given are either real descriptions or you made one of them up.
That's correct.
That's pretty creative, Tom. I will give you credit.
Maybe they're all real, in which case he's not creative at all. Hold on to your thumb.
Exactly.
Do you have an answer yet?
I have an answer.
Yes.
All right. Monica, you're first. What do you got?
Shut the Lines is not a real game.
Okay.
I own that.
And
I said Shut the Nut.
Yeah, that was my second choice.
Don't forget, you can always pick all of them are real. Here we go. Next one.
Oh, we have to do them all. That's right.
Yeah, well, this way you're not going off of like Tom picked D this time, then etc. All right.
That's okay.
We got Porky Pig's Donut Factory. This is a roll and move game from 1976 where you need to get rid of all the donut holes. Where's the Beef? This is a game from Milton Bradley based on the famous Wendy's commercial. It's a roll and move game with memory involved where you're going through a Wendy's. Alice's Mad Burger Party. Yes, it's the Alice from Alice in Wonderland at a burger party rather than a tea party. And one of the designers of this game, Gary Kim, who's known for other games. And then That's Not Chicken. It's a Mad Magazine game from 1982, a roll and move where you're trying to guess whether the thing you're eating is endangered animals or chicken. So we have Porky Pig's Donut Factory, Where's the Beef, Alice's Mad Burger Party, and That's Not Chicken. So
Z is first.
Well, yeah, but you still got to write your
Yes,
ahead of time.
I'm pointing at the one I'm going to pick.
All right, go ahead, Z.
I'm going with Where's the Beef?
All right.
Walking through a Wendy's, I don't know about that.
Somebody's dumb enough to have done that one, I think, but that is a good choice. I'm going to go with Porky Pig's Donut Factory.
All right.
Really?
By the way, all the ones that you guessed that are correct, that are real games, you will be receiving a copy of for Christmas.
Oh, joy.
Speaking of, Mr. Bonacar, I have your Christmas gift here.
Yeah, but you still have the gift. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's at the office now. All right. The next 4 games. Here we go. But Ugly Martians, The Race to Rescue Dog. This is a Milton Bradley game in which you are some Martians trying to rescue Dog. It's a roll move game. First to get to Dog wins. Then we have Everyone Shares One Butt. This is a tile laying game where you are connecting your stomach piece to the almighty butt piece. Then we have Whims, a game of royal butt kissing. This is a party style game where you need to follow the king's whims. And then Move Your Butt. This is a roll and move game, but the playing pieces are little butts.
What was that second one? The fake one. What was that one again? The second one?
Everyone Shares One Butt.
Yeah.
It's a tile laying game where you connect your stomach to the almighty butt.
Yeah, it's the well-known B-side from REM for Everybody Hurts. And everyone shares one butt.
All right, Bonacar, what are you picking?
I'm going to actually say all of them are real.
Okay.
That's just ridiculous.
Sometimes, and everybody shares one butt. So hang on.
Next one. We have You Got Stabbed. It's a social deduction game that goes up to 20 people. The last person alive wins.
What's it called again? Sorry.
You Got Stabbed. Then we have Stab a Panda. This is a would you rather style game, like would you stab a panda or do something else? I can't give you more because several of the things are kind of raunchy. We have Don't Get Stabbed. One person's a killer, everyone else is victims. The killer wins by killing all the victims. And then we have Never Bring a Knife to a gunfight. It's a social deduction game where there are teams and the first person to die will make their whole team lose. So we got You Got Stabbed, Stab a Panda, Don't Get Stabbed, and Never Bring a Knife.
Is it me first?
No, I think I go. Right? No.
Yeah. See, you're first.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with the first one. It sounds kind of tame. You Got Stabbed. I'm gonna go with that one.
All right.
Is all the same. They're all real.
Okay.
All real.
All right. Let's talk about Tears. Here we go. We have Web of Tears, a game from Avalon. It's about the politics of the Dark Elves. Then we have Tears of the Dragon. This is a fantasy board game, an asymmetrical racing style game. We have Tears of a Goddess. This is one of those graphic novel games where you're hunting down looters who stole from a temple. And then Diet Without Tears. This is a game from the British Diabetic Association to help people think about what they eat.
Oh my gosh.
Web of Tears, Tears of the Dragon, Tears of a Goddess, and Diet Without Tears.
Wait. Say the first two again, please.
Web of Tears, Tears of the Dragon, Tears of a Goddess, and Diet Without Tears.
Web of Tears of the Dragon.
I mean, that is just so ridiculous that you're not smart enough to have come up with that one. So Tears of a Goddess is
okay.
Nope, that's real.
They all, again, but
that one's definitely real. That's the only game so far that I know for a fact is a real game, and I know what the cover looks like.
Really? Look at you.
Web of Tears.
All right.
It sounded so good.
About weaving tear juice together.
All right. Yesterday was one of Mr. Bonicor's favorite holidays, St. Patrick's Day. So let's talk about, these are the only games I could find with the word Patrick in the title. So here we go. First of all, we have Banish the Snakes, a game of St. Patrick in Ireland. This is a game from GMT Games, actually, a cooperative type game, a big game from them. Then we have Patrick Moore's Astronomy game from 1980, where you explore the solar system to get points. Then there's an expansion for Zombicide, a little expansion called Survivor Patrick. It's like a character for Zombicide. Patrick is a hipster who just wants a coffee. And then we have Lester Patrick's official hockey game from 1939, a light hockey game that originally came with a spinner, but then they added dice later on. So we have Banish the Snakes, a game of St. Patrick in Ireland, Patrick Moore's Astronomy game, Zombicide, Survivor Patrick, and Lester Patrick's official hockey game.
Wow.
Okay.
Who's first?
Boniker Z is.
I'm going to say these are all real.
All right. Mr. Boniker?
Patrick Moore's Astronomy game.
What? No, that's real, baby.
Because it's John Moore. I know John. He's a good guy. It's John Moore.
All right. Oh, you were just talking about being a space nerd, so there you go.
I
all right.
Know.
The color of St. Patrick's Day is green. So here's some games with green in the title. First, we have The Green Greed. This is an old Avalon Hill game about the stock market when they first came into being.
Oh, Green Greed. Got it.
Green Ghost from 1965. It's touted as the first glow-in-the-dark game, a roll-and-move style game. Then Little Green Men from Waddington's. This is a roll-and-move game where you're trying to capture aliens. And then 10 Green Bottles. This is from Orchid Toys, a game to teach kids to recycle all of their bottles. So we have The Green Greed, Green Ghost, Little Green Men, or 10 Green Bottles.
I know one of these games, by the way.
Oh, good.
I owned it. But of course, I don't know the rest of them. So I'm going to go with Green Greed is not wrong.
Z?
I hope this is not the one that Bottlecor knows. 10 Green Bottles, I'm going to say, is fake.
Can I say which one I owned?
Sure, go ahead.
Green Ghost was absolutely a game. It was a kid's game. I owned it when I was a child. It was a lot of fun.
Came out in 1965.
Yeah, you used to play it. Yeah, you used to play it in the dark, and all the pieces glowed. And I think you spun it or it moved around, and it would point to a player. Yeah, I remember it very well. Green Ghost.
Alrighty. Last section here. Let's go to Clover now. St. Patrick's Day. These are games with the word Clover in them. We have Lucky's Clover Challenge. This looks like the cover of Lucky's Charms, and you need to move 3 marshmallow charms around the game board and into your home line. Think Parcheesi. We have Clover Leap. This is a game in which you are herding sheep around to collect clover tiles and finish sentences. It's good to know math and English for this game, kids. We have Red Rover Clover, It's Over. This is a game about making ridiculous poems. It's one of the first games published by Waddington's. And then we have Kitty Clover Potato Chip Game. This is just a roll and move game advertising the Kitty Clover Potato Chip Company from Omaha, Nebraska.
Can I say they're all fake? Is that one of the options?
Lucky's Clover Challenge, Clover Leap, Red Rover Clover, It's Over, and Kitty Clover potato chip game.
Wow. Who goes? Me?
Sure.
Lucky's Clover Challenge.
All right.
Not real.
I'm going to go with Red Rover Clover. It's over.
That's got to be real. That's so ridiculous.
All right, here we go. Let's go back. Let's go through the scoring. We'll start with the first one. We had Dice Wide Shut, Shut Your Mouth, Shut the Lines, and Shut the Nut. Z picked Shut the Nut, and Bonneker picked Shut the Lines. The fake game is Shut the Nut.
There you go. Nicely.
Yeah!
I'm still disturbed by that Dice Wide Shut cover, but it's just a weird cover.
So, so you just and you just came up with these descriptions. They're very good.
Sure.
Man.
Well, I mean, the ones are real. The Shut Your Mouth one I found was very interesting because they kickstarted it intending to have the game printed in China, and then found that China has a rule that they can't print likenesses of Mao.
Right.
So they had to do a print and play to get it to their backers. They made like 7,000 or something.
Right.
All right, next we have Porky Pig's Donut Factory. Where's the beef? Alice's Mad Burger Party, and That's Not Chicken. Bonneker picked Porky Pig, and Z picked Where's the Beef? Where's the Beef was definitely made, as was Porky Pig's. The fake one was That's Not Chicken. From Mad Magazine, that gives the people 3 points.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
That does sound like a game I would play, though. Like, that's not chicken, Anyhow.
So it's 3 people, 3 Z, 0 Bonneker?
That's correct. But we're
All
not
right.
done. Let's go to the butt
at the moment.
section.
Butts.
Butt Ugly Martians, The Race to Rescue Dog, Everyone Shares One Butt, Whims, A Game of Royal Butt Kissing, and Move Your Butt. And so, Bonneker, you said they're all real. Z, you said Everyone Shares One Butt. I'm sorry to say, but the fake game was Move Your Butt, a roll and move game where the playing pieces are butts.
The most tame of all. See, I know. If you find really crazy ones, then you come up with a tame one. So you're telling me I live in a world where I could own Everyone Shares One Butt, and I somehow do not? There's something wrong with this picture.
Well, let me look it up. It's a game from 2019. There's only 3 ratings on Board Game Geek. It's from a publisher called 2 on the Nose, an unpredictable competitive path building party game where you and 3 other disembodied players extend your stomach to connect to the almighty butt. First to connect to the butt wins.
That is the most disturbing description I've ever heard in my life.
It looks like a path connection game, actually, Z.
I'm dying to play Butt Ugly Mars, The Search for Dog, or something like that.
Yeah, it's a weird game from Milton Bradley, so go figure.
I'm going to go find that and play it and buy it and stuff. Yes.
Alrighty, let's jump to stabbing. You got stabbed, stab a panda, don't get stabbed, or never bring a knife. Bonneker said they're all real. Z said you got stabbed is the fake one. That's correct, Z.
Oh!
I did see someone in chat said, I know I've played You Got Stabbed, and I was thinking, you can't, because I just made that up. What's funny is I made up my title first, and then I looked them up, and I saw there was one called Don't Get Stabbed, and I thought, well, that's close, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's a good way of doing it.
All right, Web of Tears, Tears of the Dragon, Tears of a Goddess, Diet Without Tears. Z was correct with the Tears of a Goddess being real because I have played this game, so I knew this one. And incidentally, though, they're all real. So the people get 3 points.
Oh.
The Diet Without Tears cracks me up because it looks like they put almost no effort in the British Diabetic Association into making a board game.
Oh, that's just wrong.
Diet Without Tears is it's such a weird title. It's like, stop crying. Just stop eating, too. It's like terrible. I don't know. I don't like the implications there.
All right. Patrick. We got Banish the Snakes, the game of St. Patrick in Ireland, Patrick Moore's astronomy game, Zombicide Survivor Patrick, and Lester Patrick's official hockey game. Bonneker says the fake one was the astronomy game. Z says they're all real, and that's true. They are all real.
I'm getting crushed.
The Banish the Snakes, game of St. Patrick in Ireland, came out last year from GMT. 2020 game. Hey, man.
I'm selling all my GMT games just on spite.
All right, green. We have the Green Greed, Green Ghost, Little Green Men, and 10 green bottles. Z said 10 green bottles. Bonacor said the green greed. The correct answer is the green greed. There is no old Avalon Hill games stock markets, but not called that.
Oh, thankfully once.
We're on the board.
Yes.
All right, scores are 9 for Z, 9 for the people, and 3 for Bonacor.
Doesn't look good for the good guy.
No, it doesn't. There's no doubling for the final one. Here we go. We have Lucky Clover Challenge, Clover Leap, Red Rover Clover It's Over, and Kitty Clover Potato Chip Game, which, by the way, caused me to do a lot of reading last night on the Kitty Clover Potato Chip Company and how they started. It was very interesting. Anyhow, the correct answer is Red Rover Clover It's Over.
Boom, baby! In your face, Bonacor.
Yeah, I got my head handed to me.
In here with 12 to 9.
I believe you mean your butt.
I got my
Your
butt.
universal butt.
Z was able, but Z had a 50%. That's pretty good for guessing out of 4.
That's really
You
good.
can see my fakery, but only half the time. Am I lying now? All right. All right, folks. Well, that's it for the game. Let's keep going with a couple more contributors.
What is up? My name is Matthew McCack, and this is Smashing Buttons and Slamming Cards. This is a segment where I talk about a video game I love and I connect it to a board game I love. And this week, I want to talk about Minesweeper, one of the classics where you're trying to find out where the mines are and you're trying to get flags, I think, something like that. But it's a deduction sort of game, and you're trying to figure out like where the mines are at by like the little clues that you're getting. I want to connect that to Cryptid. Now, this box cover is the prettiest part of this entire game, but it is a purely deduction game. You have your own little clue, and everybody else has their own clue, and based on what everybody is sort of saying, you get to deduce where this like monster is. I think it's this thing that you're looking for. I kind of like crapped on the look of the game, but I have to say, like in real life, on the table, it's actually kind of charming, but not totally up my alley. Anyway, that is it for this week. I just want to say that for Room 51, we are going to be doing a 12-hour marathon on April 10th, and we are looking specifically for LGBTQ+ collaborators to send us a video. You could be a content creator, you could be a non-content creator, whoever you are, just LGBTQ+, we would love to have more visibility. So you could contact me like right here. I think the email address will pop up for more information on sending me a video for that. Anyway, I will catch you next time.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen, the board game librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes with my segment From the Page to the Table, where I pair books and board games together, and it's magic. And yes, I am doing my laundry right now, so a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. I have brought up Michelle Moran's books before, recently even, and The Heretic Queen was the first book of hers that I read, and I listened to it when I was commuting back and forth for college, and I immediately fell in love with Egypt. Here we have Queen Nefertari, who eventually becomes the wife of Ramses the Great, and her story and tale, just engrossing. Michelle is a pro at giving us powerful, significant female heroines throughout history that we don't talk about as much anymore. So here we have Kemet, 2 to 5 players, Matago editions, game I've had in our collection for a really long time. Ancient Egypt, but of course a much more fantastical Ancient Egypt where we have the Egyptian gods and goddesses that are helping you in combat as well. Another like classic area control game that we have here, full of head-to-head combat and no turtling. You definitely cannot turtle in Kemet. I've only ever played this 2 players, and it's always like super just tense, interesting, and exciting as well too. It's not necessarily my favorite of the 3 games, but I love the theme. I love that it's in ancient Egypt, since we don't have a lot in those in our collection. I can only imagine Queen Nefertari here kind of looking from her throne as all of this would be going down here in Kemet. Just a wonderful game, just such a big and awesome one. That is all for this week, friends. Happy breakfast.
Alrighty, folks, thanks for watching a slightly longer than normal board game breakfast, but there was a lot of news today. Don't forget, if you ever miss a board game breakfast, we do separate out the news segment separately and put it up later that evening. And man, folks, I'm excited about next week. Lots of cool things coming your way. But even before then, we have a lot of videos. We're going to be playing a game live tomorrow morning. We're going to be putting up reviews all week. We're doing a 4-way review of Cryo. So cool stuff to look forward to. But we're done today. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Stephen Bonacore.
Have fun connecting your stomach.